mean, one of the mysteries is that, you had a visit of Bishop Williamson. Last time he was here was?
2 years ago. It
was
2012
December.
early December.
But he came like some secret time between then, right? That was it?
No, he didn't come. He came to Quebec, you remember.
Oh, that's right. He came to Quebec. That's right.
Frank, was it 2012 December?
It was
No,
mid-December.
that was before we had right before the conference in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he came after that, I thought.
No, not he.
No.
Not to us.
Not to us, at least. Maybe
Oh,
he
okay.
came, but we didn't know about that.
But this meeting, for instance, was found out by accident
Yes.
because he didn't tell anybody that he was coming. In fact, he just went. Father Ruiz just called from Mexico. He was very upset because during that same trip, the bishop visited Mexico City, and he didn't tell Father Ruiz. He didn't visit Father Ruiz. He didn't talk to him. He didn't do anything. He just left him. Father Ruiz, was very poor there in Mexico City. He had about 40 faithful, and he was a good priest of the resistance. And then he found out after, so he was very upset. And then Father Cardozo came in, also to Mexico City, and said the Mass and so on, and didn't communicate with him at all, And these are things which a short time ago didn't happen. But before these things, like Father Cardozo was the one who set up the whole missions up there in Mexico. And because he used to be there once upon a time. And so now, I believe what's really happened in the last 3 weeks is a planned, orchestrated D-Day invasion, basically, in order to weaken and break apart our resistance. I don't think it was unplanned. I don't think it was by accident. And then of course the latest thing, which was the least significant of all, was the crisis of yesterday, the last 24 hours of people putting their names, putting the names on the internet, or publishing the names. The reason why I asked Frank Corso and Andre and some other people to put together a list of names is so that we could put them into the bulletin. Mainly, and we're going to do a calendar. We couldn't do it last year. Put it in calendar. Remember our society calendars? We always had in the back places for Mass. So, and then also, of course, we put it on the internet so that people could call. Because remember, one of the problems we have with the Lady of Mount Carmel being, only 1 or 2 contacts. Some people in this area, for instance, you don't know. Some people get fed up with what's going on in the society, and they might be new parishioners, and you don't even know them, even though you went to Mass with them. Like, how did you find out about the Mass here?
On the internet. I was just looking around. I started going to the SSPX.
Right.
To the Church of the Transfiguration.
Right.
And then I
But do you remember these people before, or you came more recently? More recently.
Last 5 times.
Right.
Four
Yeah.
times.
Right.
A month and a half.
We
Right.
didn't know about people.
We didn't
Right,
know.
yeah. So we never know what new people are going to come. And one of the grave dangers we've been working against, which is now going on right now, Father said Mass, Father Zendaya said Mass in Danbury, and he's going to be using his people to try to slowly kill our parish. But remember, some of our people will never be invited because they're not approved by Father Zendaya, and not approved by the people at that Mass. So they never get a phone call. And they don't know where Mass is. There was Mass in Wilton last Sunday. There were 50 more. I'm told there's more or less 50 people at the Mass. Father's third Sunday actually saying the Mass. The first Sunday I invited him in, not knowing that he was just trying to do a takeover, and that he wasn't preaching the truth. And so I assumed he was preaching the truth, which was a wrong assumption. And because I had been speaking with him the last 2 years, and I think back our conversations, he never really. I was assuming he was saying things, but he never really said them. He never said them. It was just by assumption, because we were stationed together, and I just assumed. But when I think back over our conversations, he never ever did say Bishop Fillet is modernist. He never ever did say there was something heretical in the document of April 15th. He never said, and when I even told him 2 weeks ago, this is what you have to say, he couldn't repeat it to me. He couldn't repeat it to me, and he said, I believe the same as you. I said, okay, well, tell me what I believe. He couldn't do that. Couldn't do it. So we have a double battle, and one of them is, of course, the trying to break up the parish, just suddenly, without any warning of any kind. But they also have the more serious battle, which is not communicating the truth. And he also told to me, and he also told the people in Sparta, what Bishop Williamson also says, which is, let's just talk about, and some of them tell me the same thing, let's forget about the society, forget about the modernism, we just got to teach the faith. Now, we know that, if you only teach the faith without condemning the errors, you will infallibly become a heretic. Our Lord Jesus Christ knew best. And all the prophets, what's the sign of the prophet? The sign of a prophet is what?
Courage.
Contradiction.
Yeah.
He gets up and offends people. That's what prophets do. All right? They get up and they offend people. And it causes them to be thrown into exile. It causes them to be martyred. It causes them to be excommunicated, like St. Athanasius or like Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre. He wasn't excommunicated because he taught Jesus was God in the Baltimore Catechism. He was excommunicated because he condemned Vatican II and modernism. See, he wasn't excommunicated because he taught the truth and he had incense in the Latin Mass. The devil can handle the Latin Mass. Martin Luther said the Mass until he died. Never gave up the Mass. And he even went to confession until he died. Martin Luther said, I don't believe confession really forgives sins, but I think it's very good psychologically. It makes you feel good. So he never could give up confession, Martin Luther himself, and he never gave up the Mass. Even though he had got married 2 times and was evil, but it was Mass and confession was so deep in his blood that even though he denied it in his doctrine, he still had it. But his successors dropped it, of course. Of course they dropped it. Even in his own lifetime they were dropping it, and he didn't really like that. He didn't really like it. But, he couldn't explain why, because he gave the doctrine of why you shouldn't have a Mass. But then he said it anyway. And so when the Martin Luther said the Mass, and he's the father of all Protestantism, and it's the faith that's the key to everything. And how is it? Bishop Williamson came in here 2 weeks ago. He gave his talk, and how was he able to come here and give a talk? Because we have parishes set up and running for the last couple of years. He's got a place to go, come and give a talk. And in the talk, he says that it's okay to go to the Novus Ordo Mass because, after all, the people that are still good people, therefore they can go to Mass. And even though you didn't study philosophy or theology, if you can go to a place because there's good people there, what will be another conclusion? Where else are there good people? Are the good people only at the Novus Ordo Mass?
No, everywhere else.
There's good people in Hinduism. I've met some wonderful Hindus. My taxi driver was one of the greatest guys I ever met. He's a Hindu, right? Right? He's a great guy. My taxi driver in Tamil Nadu, right? And Muhammad, our taxi driver with his 5 kids, very gentle man. Muhammad, I guess what religion he belongs to. He's a Muslim, okay? And he was one of the taxi drivers, and he'll come and go out of his way to help us. A genuinely good man living in Bombay. He's a genuinely good man. He's not fake. He's really a good man. He is a good man. And many Protestants are good men. Look at these Protestants building the Creation Museum in Kentucky, spending millions and millions of dollars to defend the sacred scripture. They're good people. So why not go to the Protestant church? They're good people, so why not be a conservative Muslim as long as you don't blow up things? They're good people, so why not be a Protestant? They're good people, so why not be an atheist? Because there's really nice atheists too. What's the problem with that? Do you go to a doctor because he's a nice doctor? Why do you go to a doctor? Because he knows how to heal your disease. And if he's a really nice doctor, he has cyanide mixed in with his other capsules, and he doesn't have them labeled properly, and he's a super nice guy. It's just that he mixed up the poisons with the medicines, and whereas the other doctor is an absolute jerk, and he's evil, and he only cares about money, but he hands out medicine. Which doctor do you go to? What? you go to the evil doctor. Because if you go to the nice doctor, you're going to die. Not only that, a nice doctor can be so far more dangerous. Like we say with the children, for instance, if your son goes out with a prostitute, with a druggie, with a wicked woman, and lives with the gangs, and goes with hell's angels, probably in a couple years he's going to wake up, come back to God. But if he meets a super nice Protestant girl who comes from a family of 6 kids, and she always wears a dress, and she loves Jesus, he's never going to come back to the faith until he dies. He will die a heretic and go straight to hell. So that the nice guys are more dangerous than the wicked ones, because they make the evil look good. That's why, as a priest of God, and as anyone involved in medicine, the priest is a doctor. He teaches what is necessary for your life. And if you must say, look, there are many nice priests in the Novus Ordo, priests who have a deep interior faith, but they're saying the new Mass, which is intrinsically evil and therefore destructive to their souls. And if they save their souls, it's going to be because of their rosaries. It's going to be because of the protection of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and it's going to be exactly in spite of the wickedness of the Vatican II that they believe in, and the wickedness of the new Mass. Same thing with a Hindu or Protestant. If they convert and receive our Lord, and they convert and receive the true faith, and make an act of faith and charity before they die, they may be saved only because they entered the Catholic Church, only because they exited their paganism. St. Francis Xavier said 400 years ago, 500 years ago, few souls pass from India to paradise. Why? Because they're pagans. And he felt this desire to spread the faith amongst them so that more souls would pass from India to paradise. The love of India means wanting all the Hindus and Muslims to become Catholic. Love of America means wanting all the Protestants and Hindus and Muslims, and I think I passed a Jain temple on the way here. There's Jains here.
Quite a few.
Wherever there's money, there's Jains, right? Yeah. And, I think in Jogeshwari is where they bury their bodies, right? Yeah. In Jogeshwari, just north of Bandra, the Jains, they don't bury their dead. They put them on the roof and let the birds eat them. So don't go on the roof of the skyscraper, And so and right in the middle of town, while you're driving downstairs and you're eating at the McDonald's and having a nice fancy dinner, right above you, there's birds eating, the rotting flesh of some Jain, right? And and so you just still don't go up on the roof in Jogeshwari. So so the thing is that. And also the Jains, I notice all the Jains I've met are like super nice. They're like the the towelhead guys, we call them. But the Sikhs believe in hospitality. It's the number one thing they believe in. That and fighting. So hospitality. I met one Sikh in the airport in Kota Kinabalu, which is an island near the Philippines, and he kidnapped me. I got stuck there for 12 hours. He was not letting me out. He bought me everything in the airport. He fed me breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. He was going to drag me to his house to stay there, and he was going to buy me everything in the airport, and he was going to take care of me, period. It was just, you have to stay, you have to have this, you have to have that. He wouldn't stop. And he was very genuine. He wasn't, and then his son worked at the airport. You got to meet my son. He gets off in a couple hours, And so I met his son, and he was just gentle. And I asked him what the belief of the Sikhs are, and he said we have the 5 main doctrines, none of which are doctrines. But so he was a genuinely good man. He was genuine. He was not fake at all. He was a genuinely good man. And the fact is that there are genuinely good men everywhere. And for a priest to say, because there's genuinely good men in the Novus Ordo, genuinely good men going to Mass, like in Mexico and other third world countries and so on, where they tend to be more fervent, right, which is changing. I see it in India and the Philippines. That fervor is going away like you wouldn't believe. The churches are still full, Novosolo churches, compared to here. But you look at in Iloilo where I was, they got 10 masses on a Sunday, bang, 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 bang. And they have confessions by appointment only. And nobody goes to confession, right? And by the way, none of those people are married. They never get married. Remember Father Couture saying to one of the couples, they were going to our mass. He says, you need to get married. He goes, when are you going to get married? We're going to get married on our 25th anniversary. What do you mean get married on your 25th anniversary? Look, what if you don't live to your 25th anniversary of living together? You need to get married. And not that they're married him twice or anything, just don't get married. And so we're fighting to get them married. You got to get married. And of course, the priests always want them to take all kinds of money. They're very corrupt. You know, everything costs a lot of money. Philippines and India also. And so, but there are genuinely good men there. I've met some really good priests in India, really good priests in America and everywhere who say the new Mass. More supernatural than we are. They say the rosary more, they fast more, they have more penance, they have a good spirit of faith. But what's the problem? They're in error. That error is causing damage to souls. And in fact, the devil is using their goodness in order to bring souls down. Therefore, we must warn the people in the Society of St. Pius X. It's the good priests who are the most dangerous. Because the good priests don't like the modernism, but they accept it. And therefore the faithful will say, well, our priest is good, so the errors of Bishop Fillet must not be that bad. What happens? They wander away from the faith. We don't condemn anybody that goes to the new Mass or who goes to the Society of St. Pius X. We know that it takes the grace of God to see the errors, but we have that grace. We cannot claim that we don't. We know the truth. We cannot claim that we don't. Even Bishop Sheen, in one of his talks on apologetics, says, when you have the truth and you're arguing with someone in error, don't act like you don't have the truth. You can be gentle with them. You can be understanding to them. There's a lot of things you can do, but you can never act like you don't have the truth. That's a lie. So you can never say things like, well, that's your opinion, this is my opinion. You can never do that. We hold the truth. We can be gentle, we can be patient, we can slowly bring them in the direction of the truth. There's all kinds of practical options, so to speak, of how to gently bring someone to the truth. But under no circumstances can you play down the truth, and in no circumstances can you pretend like you don't have it. That's why it was a grave problem of faith when Father Zendejas said 3 weeks ago in Sparta, New Jersey, I don't know the solution to the crisis in the church, and you don't know the solution to the crisis in the church. You talk to 15 different people, and they got 15 different solutions. That's not true. That's not correct. There is a solution to the crisis in the church, the same solution that's been there for the last 2,000 years of the New Testament and the 4,000 years of the Old Testament before that. And that is accepting the fullness of Christ and all His kingdom and all His faith and everything of His church, which we know. And therefore, we do have a solution to the crisis in the church. And we also know a practical side of the present solution, which is the love of the Blessed Virgin Mary, which is always necessary anyway, of course, in all times, but it's more necessary now. It's more necessary now. Because when we're more desperate, it's more necessary to turn to our mother than at other times. Like the soldiers in the battlefield, when they're dying, they turn to their mother. You know, and I would argue for two reasons. We should turn to Our Lady in a special way in these end times. One is when the soldier's dying on the battlefield and he has lost all hope, his last hope is his mother. And we are the last people of the world. Therefore, our last hope is our mother. The second reason is when a mother has many babies and she knows she's having her last baby, she makes him a brat. She gives him extra stuff. She holds him extra long. She nurses him extra long, spends extra time with him, and the other kids are forgotten. This is the last baby. And we are the last children of Mary. Therefore, the Blessed Virgin Mary will shower extra graces on us that the saints before us didn't get. Because that's the nature of a mother. That's the nature of a mother. And so because of the crisis, we must turn to our mother, and also because it's just good being the youngest. You don't get spanked as often, and you get away with anything, and you get extra gifts, And even daddy is a problem when you're younger because he doesn't get mad like he used to. He doesn't get cranky like he used to. He can't hear like he used to, and so on. And so applying that to heaven, we find our Lord also not spanking like he used to. And these things are true in the supernatural life. They're very true. And so, and therefore, we're also going to have to see some consequences of that. One of the consequences of that is the apostles of our times are going to probably be very imperfect. Extra imperfect. So we shouldn't be too surprised by the imperfections of the apostles of our times. And that if good comes from the work of the priests of the resistance, it's only because of the miraculous intervention of heaven, which is always true, but it's especially true now because we're a little bit more of losers than the ones who came before us. The whole generation is just weaker than men used to be. We're just wimpier than men used to be. That's just how it is. But God is not weaker. Blessed Virgin Mary is not weaker, only we are. So in order to fight the devil's not weaker, Christ is not weaker, Blessed Virgin is not weaker, only we are weaker. So in order for Christ to make it possible for us to win against the devil, he just has to pour in a little extra help. Which is exactly what he is infallibly going to do. And so, one of the disturbing elements of yesterday, you hear the message, some people are going to leave the resistance because their names are on the internet. If we're going to leave the resistance because Pablo the Mexican says negative things and what do you call it, can be rough around the edges, and Father Pfeiffer shouldn't be associated with him. And if we're going to leave the resistance because our name is published on the internet, then what are we standing for? It's not the Catholic faith. It's not the Catholic faith. We have to have our names on the internet. By the way, they're already there.
Yeah,
Right?
that's right. They're all over.
Andre was telling me last night, Andre DeMills, he said he did a test last night. He just typed in Andre DeMills. What did it say? His name, his wife's name of all his kids, ages of all his kids. Last time he went to McDonald's. Everything, right? It's all there. And that's if you don't know what you're doing. Now, if you know what you're doing, you can find a lot more than that. Easy. What are we doing? And believe me, the hackers don't go to the religious websites to check out your information. They're not tempted by that. They put in those key memorizing software, what do you call that? It memorizes your keystrokes. And then through that, they get your passwords, through the Trojans and the crawlers. And so they know when you type in your Google, and then you type, the next thing you type is the password. And so they don't care. They don't know what the password is. All they do is push enter, type password. No problem, right? And then basically, so anybody who has half a brain can hack through. That's why I hate passwords, because I have total confidence in a hack. He can break through my email anytime. I just can't. I can't open the stupid thing because I can't remember the password. And and then they want me to change the password, the only one I can remember. Forget it. I have total confidence in a hack's ability to break, and if he can't break my password, then I have no respect for him. It's got to be better than that. And so Father Wallier hacked the emails of Father Pinot, and Father Wallier is an internet expert. Bishop Fillet is an internet expert. They can hack you anytime they want. Bishop Fillet came to Phoenix once 12 years ago, when the internet was really hard to get on, and he showed me how to hack an entire website. And he did it. He pulled down all of St. Thomas Aquinas Ober Omnia. He said, you can actually just steal the whole website. There's no problem. So he did it. Well, he said it was easy, but I don't know how he did it. I can't do it. So, and that was a long time ago. That was when the internet was not like it is now, with all the speed and all the different, now there's programs that'll do it for you and everything else. So, it's craziness to think that, So, but one thing we have to see is that for 40 years, we've always had, like my family's name has been in the United Society calendars for at least 20 years. Until 2004, 2005, from 80 to 2000, whatever that is, whatever it is, more than 20 years. And they put it because it said this is the contact with Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, the SSPX, it's in Kentucky, and there's the other contact. Why do we do these contacts? So that people can find out better about Mass, contact with about faith. And meanwhile, your name's already out there because you're trying to sell your, your old Star Wars action figures on Craigslist or something, and and your name is out there on the internet anyway, even if you never use it. Like I don't really use it, but the information's out there anyway, right? And so to be disproportionately upset about a very small thing. I was saying the example in the car to somebody there reminds me of the movie Airplane, in one of the movies in the 70s where they announced the engine 1 is out, well, whatever. Engine 2 is out, whatever. Engine 3 is out, whatever. We're out of coffee. We're out of coffee! Oh! And so they attack the stewardess and they want to kill the people on the pilot because they're out of coffee. And so engine 1 is out, nobody cares. Engine 2 is out, nobody cares. Engine 3 is out, nobody cares. Because when the 4th engine goes out, you can't drink your coffee. You better drink fast, because you're going down. And so but then we have a situation here where we have the one happened after the visit of 2 weeks ago. Was the parish strengthened? Was the parish encouraged?
It's not our parish, Father.
What?
It's not our parish. We don't know.
No, everybody was there. We had St. Catherine's and Toronto and other people from Buffalo. They were mixed, right?
I don't think it helped what Bishop Williamson said. I don't think it helped.
No, that's the nice way of saying it.
Yes, I'm trying to be nice.
It was weakened, right?
Yes.
It was weakened.
It was.
Whereas, and then imagine, you go and why not, just, it could be just a few words of encouragement, Keep on going, and doing a good thing and persevere in the faith and get other people to come and, et cetera, et cetera.
Father, I went there thinking that Bishop Williamson was basically on our side and I ended up having an argument with him.
Excuse me?
I ended up having an argument with Bishop Williamson. I thought he was basically on the side of the resistance.
Oh, but afterwards you
talked to him. It turned out that he wasn't. I was shocked.
Oh, so afterwards you talked to him?
Yeah, briefly. It was very brief.
What did he more or less, what was
well,
more or less?
I was telling him about Father Sandrama that it's kind of a bit of a mess what he's doing.
Right.
That you really are the parish. If we have parish in Toronto, it's because of you and other places.
Right.
Well, he didn't want to hear that. He basically cut me off and went off.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, remember, what happened is, that was like a picture pages moment. In order to, if Father Zendejas, he's just going to keep doing what he's doing regardless. He's not going to, it's just that he needed Bishop Williamson only as like a moral support. Yeah. Bishop Williamson gave that support so that he could look more serious. But he has not in any way communicated the true faith. Look at that way he answered the question there, right? I mean, this shows clearly the mind of Bishop Fillet. It was just confused gobbledygook. If that's what you get on a regular basis, you're in grave danger of losing your faith. And I told Father Zendejas myself, and I said, look, Father, you've always communicated in a confused way. But when you were within the mainstream Society of St. Pius X, it was kind of okay because we could interpret what you were saying according to the position of the society. See, there are many beautiful benefits to being inside an organization. It makes up for our deficiencies. And we all have great deficiencies. And so it makes up for it. And that's why, one reason why it was so important. I mean, look at, like Father Giselle said a year and a half ago to one of the priests in France, he said, all right, it's been almost a year ago, it's been almost 2 years now. And, show me the results of your silent resistance.
Yeah. You didn't know.
That's one of the reasons, Father, what you were saying, that we didn't talk back to Bishop Williamson effectively.
Right.
Because we wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
We're aware of his previous teachings.
Right.
And we've also been aware that lately he's been sort of...
remember, there is also the point, like I mentioned, but we respect the bishop, right?
Right.
Yeah.
He's a bishop,
He came there for the confirmation. So
we go in, I'm going to say this. Oh, you're saying, why? Nothing happens, right?
Yeah.
Because, we respect the bishop. But the problem is that we have to respect the truth more. And also, it's said in such a way that you have to, it like throws you off because nothing's said precisely and clearly. So you're like, oh, okay, that didn't sound right, but what did he say? That didn't sound right, but I think and then laughter and go on to the next subject and,
He confuses you.
Right.
When he talked about the Novus Ordo in Mexico, how the people get really a lot out of it and how good they are, I was thinking to myself, this doesn't sound right. But he goes on, and what are you supposed to do? Attack him? I mean, it's just not.
Yeah, but the problem is that you can't.
Yeah.
It's like the way he leaves you.
Yeah.
You're like you have to. First, you can't believe he's saying that, and then secondly, you're like, what's going on?
The thing is, you cannot defend yourself or the faith because he just keeps going and going.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we
Yeah.
interpret what he's saying, as you say, is to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
That he may not deserve. But we don't want to hear, that the bishop is a heretic.
Right.
Or that he's teaching wrong. Because it's the bishop we got.
Yeah, maybe
So
we'll-
we
Well,
want
that's
to give
that's
the
one of the
benefit doubt.
challenges that I think that's the thing, and they told me the same thing in France. Some people are saying that we're not happy. They told me a year and a half ago, we're not happy. And then but this is all we have. We gotta go easy, right? And and that's what we've been doing for the most part. What happened in the last 3 weeks is simply like an opening up. It's just an opening, and it's so that Father Gruner didn't know. He was just there. He didn't know what was going on. He was just there. He's innocent. He didn't know anything about what was going on. But they wanted to get that give a sense of like this is an organization. This is a dire movement. And meanwhile, at the same time, from Mexico and from Brazil, this Michael Fuller in Brazil, he wrote in English this open letter to Father Pfeiffer or something. Just a couple of days ago. But it was mainly written, I guess originally it was written in Portuguese. I think it's Portuguese, and then they translated it into English or Spanish. And so they were sending this around South America. And, well, you would think that if we're independent pockets, right, then what does South America care about North America, right? Why should they care? So why should they have a campaign to say how wicked Father Pfeiffer is in the resistance in Kentucky when they're not going to move from Brazil to Kentucky? The reason for this campaign is a recognition that Kentucky isn't about Kentucky. It's a global fight. So that amongst our 13 seminarians and brothers they're not all seminarians. Some are going to be just brothers, but we need brothers, right? And also it's going to take some of them a long time. Some of them are very new to tradition. It's going to take them a while to, to settle in, And so, Rome wasn't built in a day. But in that little bitty group, what do we have? We've got Indian, we've got Filipino, we've got Paraguay, we've got Brazilian, Canadian, and we've got American, of course, and English. Right? So we have many countries represented in a small group. And Nigerians are on the way. They're being delayed. We almost got there. We tried to get them a tourist visa to start, then to get the other visa, but then that was a delay. And so now Nigerians are delayed. There's 3 Nigerians delayed and 3 more Brazilians that are delayed, 2 Filipinos that are delayed. Actually, 3 Filipinos that are delayed. And so they're trying to work their way in. We've got like 7 or 8, I don't even know how many, visa processes going through, and all we're doing is just churning out the rupees, and we don't have anything to show for it yet. They just want $1,000 for this, $200 for that, and all we do is just pay out what we can, and then so far no visas. It's just a long process, It's a long process, and so we've made it through parts of the process. Some have been able to come over and visit and stay for a little while. But it's a process of getting visas are a nuisance. Father Cyprian told me that for every single monk come from a foreign country, he had to spend $10,000. Right now, I'm seeing that that's what's happening. Right. It doesn't happen in one. It's not a $10,000 check. Remember, it's $100, $500, $1,000, $200, $50. But the next thing it's $10,000. That's what he told me it took for it. And that's why he said when a foreigner wants to become a monk, he's like, and then also, even if they don't make it, because you don't know if they're going to make it, right? You don't know. They may not. Most people that come to the seminary monastery don't stay. They may say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, then go, right? Not everybody has a vocation. And so, and I learned from being in Asia that, we've got to give everybody the same chance. It's true that it's more difficult bringing people from other countries. But you got to get the same chance, because you never know who has the vocation. And if you try to weed everybody out too much in advance because of the expense, you're going to weed out vocations. I've already seen that in my 8-10 years in Asia. Many vocations weeded out, not allowed to go to the seminary, not allowed to go to the monastery, not allowed to go to the convent, just shut off, right? And so I want to make sure that we don't do that. I know the majority of them aren't going to be ordained. The majority of them aren't going to become brothers, full-fledged brothers, and take the vows. But I don't know which one's going to make it. That's one reason why I've been a bit upset about this crisis in the last 24 hours, because I don't know when the next vocation is coming through that door. It may be somebody who just made a phone call yesterday, but would never make it at another time. I do know the prophecy of later good success is real, that there are many souls that will be damned because no one captured them. Just last week, maybe some of our people in Connecticut wanted to go to confession. Maybe they needed to go to confession. But where was Mass? Somewhere in Wilton. Wilton's a town of 25,000 people. You go knock on the door of every house. Somewhere in Wilton, Connecticut. They weren't told, they weren't informed, because they weren't special enough.
Father, the people on the internet who were complaining about this coordinators list, the main thing they seem to be complaining about is what they perceive to be as a lack of trust. They were under the impression that their names were going to be kept silent.
Right, but that's the wrong impression, because I made it clear from the very, very beginning to Andre DeMills and Frank Corso and everybody else. We come and say Mass, your recording has got to be public. In fact, I've already canceled Masses. Remember the very beginning I told Mr. Saul, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Mass there if it's not public. I don't care if only 3 people come to Mass. It's got to be publicly notified, or I cancel the Mass. I've already canceled Masses because of people not wanting to publicize their house. And remember, I made that clear so many times that, ad nauseum, right? And what happens when you create a secret list of coordinators for the coordinators? Which of course I don't get involved in that stuff. That's called creating an underground for trouble. When captains coordinate with captains, and not with the admiral, what happens? One day the admiral walks out of his little poop deck, and he's thrown overboard, right? And which captain is going to be the one who's in charge? The one who's the most devious, the one who's the most vocal, the one who has the most, gift of the gab, right? The coordinator's job is to coordinate locally, not globally. And of course we want to be connecting the chapels as much as we can. You should try to know some of the other people, visit the other chapels when you can, try to have a knowledge of other people. But a private coordinator list is totally unacceptable, right?
Unless you believe that the way Bishop Williamson does, that we have to have basically an underground setup because the world is going to have a calamity soon, and therefore everybody, there's just too much hassle going on. People are afraid of being...
Okay, now if you believe that, you can't do a coordinator list. Because what happens? Now you're insured of being caught. That's dumb, right? What you have to do is make sure that you have a few people you can trust, another person you can trust, connect to this person, that person, just like they did in England. For instance, when Father John Gerard would go to a house, one man would know he was a priest. In fact, we were just reading the other day how he was at a house for like 6 months or something. And finally he told the lady of the house, she said, I want to see a priest. He said, well, I'm a priest. You're not a priest. He goes, because you play cards too well. Right? You're a master of cards. And because he said to her, he wouldn't believe it. She wouldn't believe it. He was a priest. So then they had to, can anybody else verify to me if you're a priest? And I said, yeah. So another guy said, yeah, he is a priest. He said, why does he play cards? Why is that? Because if he didn't come in disguise into your house, would he have gotten in? No, because it's a Protestant household. He came in to convert them, right? There was a Catholic member and went to convert them, And so because of the time of persecution, he had to dress as a layman. He had, just like St. Robert Southwell and Francis Page and everybody else, They had to dress as laymen. They had to pretend like they were lawyers and doctors and businessmen, and just like Padre Pro, right? He was everything under the sun, right? He was a beggar. He was a policeman. He was everything. Every week he was something different, and so they couldn't catch him. They caught him, of course, was the usual way: betrayal. And that's the way most of these guys got caught. Father Gerard, when he went to prison, he got caught because of a traitor. The normal reason, right? And so, so the thing is that we're not in the time of persecution. I could say Mass on the White House lawn if I got the permit. Obama in the background. I could do that, right? Because it's not illegal yet. It's not a problem yet. There are many troubles in the world, but we're not being persecuted yet. So we can't act persecuted when we're not persecuted. And furthermore, if you create this, Bishop Williamson is going secretly about. He's doing that. We only found out by accident, right, that he was coming here, right? And then because Mr. Fenn somehow found out. Mr. Fenn's daughters are in, and then said, well, can you do confirmation, say Mass while you're here? Which turned out to be maybe a bad idea, But I mean, and so they set up a confirmation and all that. So I mean, it's we have to keep moving forward in an open way, and all that's happening now is there's a beginning of an open warfare. I think the beginning of the open warfare might be because we're supposed to have died. We're supposed to have ceased to exist. But we're still around somehow. Remember, 2 years now might as well be 10 years back in the 70s. And also, we keep making it from week to week. I remember one weekend when I came here, it cost $2,000, right? Didn't say anything, that's what it cost one weekend. But guess what? It got paid for. I didn't have the money when I bought the ticket. But guess what? It all worked out. Somebody gave a donation, and it worked out. I didn't say anything, but I remember that was not the most expensive weekend, but one of them, right? Okay, and so but I figured that was a while back, because things change, and we never have enough money to buy more than a ticket in advance, right? Like I'm going to India next week, but I still don't have a ticket, right? And part of it is, but now the tickets went down. It was more expensive 3 months ago when I was looking at the prices, and I didn't have money for it. I was looking over the prices 3 months ago, and it was more expensive now that the prices went down. So, and that happens sometimes at the last minute. They drop the prices. That's actually pretty common that they do that to try to get some other people to jump on the plane, And so, but in any case, and of course that can change any minute. Might be more expensive again, because next week I'm trying to go to India because of the end of last week, because of the St. Francis Xavier body being taken down. We're going to meet with some priests, and hopefully a couple of those priests will come back to America. Some of them will want to come here. Nova Soto priests that want to become traditional, come stay for like a year or something like that, and then go back to India, and maybe they can, get them, conditionally reordained, get them, learning their, catechism, yeah.
I have a question back to Bishop Williamson. Is he ever been really on our side? We always got the impression
No.
that
No.
right.
Never.
Are you saying he's on all then, that he was?
No, we don't know that. The $64,000 question is why.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to answer. But the fact is that the official reason he gives is because he doesn't believe in an organization. So therefore, he does whatever he can to divide. And so he's been doing that behind the scenes. Now it's just becoming more open. That's all. But it's still not 100%. He claims because of a different vision. So he says you should do what you want. And since Father Pfeiffer and Father Hugo and Father Giselle want to be apostolic, it's okay. Why is it okay? Because that's what we want. Why is it good? Because we mean well. You see what I mean? So is that supporting? It's not really.
And then they'll use the argument that the church has many different apostolates, So he tries to give us
But you do
the
one
answer-
apostolate the church doesn't have is a secret apostolate,
That's
except
right.
in the time of
And
persecution.
dividing people behind people's back. That's not an
Yeah,
apostolate.
that's not apostolate. And also, you know, the Dominicans have one style. But for instance, they say, you know how they joke about the Dominicans and the Jesuits? When a Dominican speaks, you don't know what he said. When a Jesuit, you don't know what a Jesuit's going to say, because he's unpredictable, because he can say anything, because he can justify anything. And then Dominican, he said something, but you don't know what it was, right? That's different. Why? Because the Dominican is so highfalutin, right? And he knows all the distinctions. He talks about all the distinctions, and by the time he finishes the distinctions, all you got is a headache.
So, Father,
But they both communicated the same faith. It just one's got the Dominican style, and the other one's got the Jesuit style. And there's just a difference of style or a difference of approach, but they're not talking about different things. What we're talking about is different things, not difference of style. You see. You know, and then why the turmoil when it should be an encouragement?
Yes.
You know, you say that was you were there with your first time, right? I mean, what was your impression of the overall? Because you're like just coming in new, so to speak, not knowing. What's your overall impression?
Right, so a couple of things. What Bishop His Excellency said was that there's different ways to skin a cat.
Right.
So,
Which is quoting me, by the way. Yes, right.
So, but again, it like the focus was on different vocations, different. That's the way I interpreted it
Right, right.
as a new.
Right, right.
In terms of seminarians, is there anything that we can do in Asia to help the seminarians?
Well, some of them are coming over here, a few of them. And also Father Giselle is trying to put a seminary together in Cebu right now, in the Philippines. He's got 4 seminarians. 2 of them were going to come over here, but now I think they might stay over there. We'll see. And then he's trying to build a place near Cebu in the Philippines. And then we have our place here in Kentucky. That's all we have right now. And he has a Father Pico helping him out. So now he has another priest to help him out, the young priest, one of the new priests of the society. And so hopefully that goes well. But so those are the only 2 things, is here in Kentucky and there. And they're talking about creating something in France, but so far nothing has happened as far as I know. They have like a pre-seminary in Brazil, like for kids, like 15-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and I think Father Cardozo is running that with the young guys. And then he might have somebody as old as 18. I think that's it. So it's not really like a seminary yet in South America. So where we have an actual seminary right now is only in Kentucky, really, when we have the full classes and the curriculum and everything. And it's underway in the Philippines, and also with regard to the Indians, I don't know. There are some potential vocations that are coming on down the pike. We have one now who should be ordained a priest in June, right? Dr. Sunil, and so hopefully he'll be ordained a priest in June. But he'll go back to India. He won't stay here and help us. He'll go to India, and he'll be working there. And hopefully we can develop. And we also, because he's a medical doctor as well, and we have like 5 medical doctors in our resistance in India, and some of them are going to set up a little clinic to take care of the poor and to teach catechism. So they're going to set up like a religious clinic in which they're going to be, and also in our village of Arinhandiag, where they're all Catholics anyway, so we're going to base it out of the village where there are people. We've got 3,000 of our people there, and so we're going to catechize the villagers, our people, the place where I used to say Mass. I was the pastor there, and so they're laying the foundations, and from there they're going to go out all over, and which is what Father Vollin's doing by himself right now. He's very tired, but because he's on the train, on the bus, and playing perpetually, going all over the place. Yeah, and so he needs help. And Father Vollin is an SSPX priest ordained in 2004. I was stationed with him for a little while in Platai, and he joined the resistance last year, and he's been doing very good work.
My other question, Father, is how do you make this known to more people?
This is the great challenge. One of them is a list on the internet.
Yeah.
That became a crisis, right? And even if Paul the Mexican doesn't have the nicest speak in the world, what he said was true. We don't have secret lists, And besides, who gave the list? You did. Your name, your rank, your serial number, your address. You're the one that gave it. So if you didn't want to give it, then don't give it. And also, it's been so clear. I've been so upfront about it. Perpetually since the beginning. Open, public. Because we don't know who's going to respond to grace. And guess what? We've got two guys. I don't know if they're going to be able to be full-fledged brothers or if they're going to maybe one day be ordained priests, one or two of them. We've got two guys right now in Kentucky who claim to the tradition because of the resistance movement in the last 2 years of the internet.
So take me as an example, because we had to search to find.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, is it possible, or would you say advertising a mass or a
Yeah, we try to do that. Well, sometimes put it in the paper.
Right.
Go out and put flyers. All those kind of things. We've done some of that stuff.
So
Just whatever way to make it publicized. The challenge nowadays, internet is interesting because you can put it on the internet, but it's like signing a needle in a stack of needles.
Exactly.
So
It's
if
difficult
you're
to
trying to
find.
look for a specific needle in the stack of needles,
Right.
good luck. When I try to search for something, I can't find anything.
There's
So I
so
said, Chris, find it. And he finds it. And he's an internet nerd, right? I can't find anything, And then so even when they tell me something's in the Sign You Shall Conquer, because it's Paul the Mexican's website, they said, well, something. So I look, I can't find it. On the website, I can't find it, right? And so, but other people can. I can't. So, it's what has been helpful. It is true that those two websites of Pablo the Mexican and the Sign You Shall Conquer, LadyMontgomeryUSA.com, as well as the Traditional Catholicism, which have been running for 8 years, however many years it's been. It was for traditionalcatholicism.org, for instance, brought me parishioners in India. They learned about there was a Latin Mass in India, and then they came to Mass, and then they said, we recognize that voice. We've heard your voice before. And he goes, why? Because they was on the internet. That was 7 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And they found the Traditional Catholicism site of Paul, where he puts the sermons of the priests on there for the last 10 years or whatever. And it was through that they found Mass in India. Doctors, right? Now those guys are with the resistance. And so they want to stand for the truth, but they were new to the tradition at that time. They found it on the internet, right? And so I think Bishop Williamson says it the best when he says that the internet is a sewer.
Yep.
But when the restaurants are closed and the cafes are closed and you're hungry, what do? You go to the sewer and look for some, healthy leftovers, right? Because it's better than dying of starvation. So it doesn't say the internet's good, because it's really not. But at the same time, God has left it as an avenue of grace. Because, and God will guide the souls who will somehow, how did an American Indian in the middle of Pocatello, Idaho, on an Indian reservation find about us? We're at the seminary now, right? We got the two Indians. We got the Indian. I said, I want to have them, the two Indians fight.
We've had some good results with our website.
Say what?
We've had some good results with our website. We've been promoting the Third Order of St. Francis.
Right.
We do have some very positive feedback that people are interested and that they want to proceed with this. So when your schedule will permit, we want to pursue that.
Sure, yeah.
But it was because of the internet and
Right.
because they were able
And also, another thing I think with conjunct with it is the Legion of, even though it's hard to get the actual Legion of Mary started, because the weekly meetings are very important, but they're also very difficult to do. But the Legion of Mary activity, go 2 by 2, house to house, and talk to people speak to them about the faith. And I think especially nowadays, the incarnational aspect of the faith, it can't be overcome. It can't be replaced. Like, for instance, they say, one reason why we're able to be known throughout the world is because of our sermons on the internet. Well, if that was all it was, I could just stand in Kentucky and give a sermon on the internet, right there, right? We could set up get our professional cameras, where they actually do the recording on time, and it actually goes live on the internet, all that kind of stuff. It wouldn't do any good. Because it's got to be a real mass for real people, really working with souls. And then some guy's got a camera and takes a picture. Okay, fine. That can be beneficial. But to just put a camera and take a picture, it's not that it's of zero benefit, but it's of pretty close to zero benefit. Because our church is incarnational. it's incarnational. We have to bring the faith to souls. And it's not Father Zendaya says Father Pfeiffer likes to go around. Well, I mentioned in a sermon a couple of weeks ago, I didn't intend to do it, just kind of came out, that, I wanted to stay in Kentucky till I died, right? And when I got ordained priest, I wanted to stay in Denver till I died. I never wanted to leave. I wanted to be in a small town. Denver's not a small town, that's where I was the first, so I wanted to stay there and just be with the same people, because I love being a pastor, and as a pastor, you have to work with people long term. They have good days and they have bad days, and they have, so you've got to visit them in the prison, and you got to visit them when they get out of the prison, and then you got to deal with them when they get married, and then you got to deal with them afterwards. Like one priest told me, he says, I really like dealing with old people. I said, why? Because they're interesting, they're nice, they die, you bury them, you're finished. But when you deal with young people, next thing you know, they want to get First Communion. Next thing you know, they want to get married. Next thing you know, they got all kinds of problems. They keep coming back with more problems. So I like looking at working with the old people. So, some priests have the gift of working with old people. Some priests have the gift of working with young people. God made each priest for different strengths, right? And there's a place for all of that. But it's true that, in the pastor situation, you're going to be dealing with headaches and problems. Like one girl in Denver, I expelled her 3 times from school. My record, 3 expulsions, right? And now she's doing well in the faith, right? But the thing is, we have to, I would rather be in a place, but it's not what we can do right now. The church is on fire. The souls are starving. They need the little crumbs of bread that we can give from time to time. And that's why, something wrong. It's like Bishop Sheen said it in one of his talks to priests. He says the most cruel thing that a priest can say to someone is, I'll pray for you. Because what does he normally mean when he says that? Praying for somebody is a very good thing to do, isn't it? But what does a priest mean when he normally says that? Leave me alone. I'm not going to do the sick call. I'm not going to come over to your house. I'm going to pray for you. It's like when a girl says it. When a girl says it, you're in trouble. I'll pray for you. That means you're dead, you're finished, it's over, right? When a girl's going to pray for you, it's over, right? Just like when marriage, he's nice. That means forget it. Okay? So he's nice, I'll pray for you, are deadly things. And of course, real prayer, of course, is necessary. Genuine praying for somebody. But it's interesting how the most cruel thing a priest can say is, I'll pray for you. Which means, leave me alone. I'm not going to help you. That's what it really means. But it sure sounds nice. And that's the problem with, pray your rosary. Pray the rosary. Well, it's good to pray the rosary. But if I only pray the rosary, you don't have to tell me. If I say the rosary every day and only say the rosary, where am I going when I die? Without any doubt. What? Hell. There's not any single doubt whatsoever that if Father Pfeiffer says the rosary every day and says more rosaries and doesn't say Mass, he's going to hell. Of course I have to say the rosary every day. Can't live without it, right? But if that's all I do, it's bad. You see, because I have to say Mass. I have to hear confessions. Remember, we used to say in Colorado, goes, Father, wake up, it's not the confessional. Right? And so, but the thing is that I have to hear confessions. I have to anoint people. I have to say Mass for souls and the glory of God. And if I don't do that, I cannot go to heaven. No. Unless, of course, I get thrown in prison and I can't say Mass, no problem. Like Father John Gerard, one time he took 42 hosts. He said Mass. He was snuck out of the prison, said a Mass, took 42 hosts and brought them into a cell and hid them. And he said for the next 42 days, I had a feast. And of course, no one could know those hosts were in that cell. No one could know they were there. And he hid them. And each day he would receive one host until the 42 days were finished. Right? And he wasn't able to say Mass. Right? You know, and so the fact is that if, you know, we do have to, it's like we received a blow in the last few weeks. I don't think we should be overly disturbed by it. We just have to keep plugging forward and doing the same things, preaching the same things, and doing the same things. And also, God is maybe, I mean, if some people don't want their names on the list, it's good to find out now, because those people, men, aren't calling everybody. Like one person sent a note indirectly saying, everybody knows my number. Did you know the number of Mr. Camage before you came here the first time? You never saw him from Adam, right? Okay? You know, and so but the thing is, it's only afterwards you see, but if the name was up on the internet and associated with a Mass in Toronto, then you might have called him, right? Because we come up with it, because you know, Father Pfeiffer problem, one of the complaints against Father Pfeiffer is that, you know, I get the Mass schedules at the last minute, right? Which is true, we do. Because we have many places to go, and it's hard to make the circuit, and also I can't buy the ticket very often until the day before or 2 days before, because we don't have the money. But I have never canceled a single Mass because of that. We've been able to go every week. There have been times in which the money came on Saturday morning. So I bought the tickets and we went out. And never canceled. But very often, you know, and the other problem is it's hard to schedule because sometimes there's a problem in one place. Like for instance, I don't know, everybody's missing. Like for instance, Calgary, it was the Frontier. What were those days? The Frontier days. What are they? Stampede. You know, Stampede days, right? So problem being there during the Stampede days, you know, and so we, you know, had to coordinate before and after, so to speak, right? And there's things that happen, you know, but maybe we have 15 people in a small parish, but you know they're going on a vacation or they're visiting their uncle or you know whatever, right? So okay, that particular weekend we can't have the Mass there, so I have to go to another place and see. Because the circuits are connected, it's very complicated. That's why, and I fly around based on plane tickets. That's why one time you have Father Hugo, another time you have me. It basically depends on plane tickets. Because I'm the night flyer, and he is a day flyer. So I try to make sure day plane tickets are for him, and night ones are for me. And so it depends on how it goes, you know, because and then there's other factors that sometimes he has to be at this particular place this weekend. Sometimes I've got to be at a particular place that weekend. But that doesn't happen too often. Mainly it's just by the tickets. And later on, when we're able to stabilize, we'll eventually be able to say, okay, you're in charge of these 7 parishes, right? And I'm in charge of these 7 parishes, right? We can't do that right now because of the nature of the problem, right? Because of the nature of how things are. And it's been that way for 2 years, you know. And right now I'm trying to get Father John Bosco hopefully be coming back over from Nigeria here in the next week or 2 to help us out a little bit. And some other priests have come in and help out here and there. And it's been a help, even if some of them helped only for a short period of time, and then they go back to wherever they were before. But like Father Glazes helped us for 3 months last year, but his health not the best. He ended up didn't work out permanently, but he was a benefit during those 3 months. It was a benefit, and so the and so we have to kind of we take it as Providence sends. When Father Weber came through here, but I think he's still not ready. And hopefully he'll be ready. But the longer you wait, the harder it is. And if it's not a necessity, then why do it?
Now that you publicize his name, maybe he'll get ready real quick.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm waiting for somebody to get him in trouble. Right. Say what?
He needs a little push.
Yeah, he needs a little help. I think he wants that too. But who knows?
Just mention about Quebec then.
That's right. But we're saying Mass in Nashville in his territory, and we got like 2 marriages that there's 3 marriages that we might be doing that he would normally be doing, but they want us to do the marriage. And at least one. I don't know how many of the 3 we're going to do. We're doing one of them is coming next week. Father Hugo's doing all the marriages now. We got 5 marriages in this system right now in the next few months. Of course, baptism was the baptism last week or 2 weeks ago. We have baptisms, and I do try to have the rule that if you have a baby born, then we go and say mass the next week. I was mad at Mrs. Kleinsmith a few months ago, her number 9 or whatever one it was. He was born on Sunday right after I flew out. And I said, so your baby needs to be born before? Or are you, and she was disobedient. The baby was born afterward, and they got mass 2 Sundays in a row. And so, they said this is a scheme, we're trying to get an extra mass, And so the baby was born right after I left. The other one here, the baby was born right before Father Hugo showed up. That was your baby, right?
Yeah, it was their grandson.
And I told her, I said, that baby better be born before Father Hugo shows up.
You gave her the order.
I gave her the order.
It worked. She
I said, that baby better be born before Saturday. She said, yes, Father, and the baby was born Friday night or something, right?
Yeah, it was.
So, okay. And Father Hugo came in and did the baptism.
Yes.
But the other one was disobedient. But the thing is, I think, there's a disproportion, in the explosion.
Father, if I can make 2 quick comments.
Yeah.
You are handicapping us with the schedule that you're putting on us from the standpoint, Christine tried her usual place in Milton, they were booked up. She phoned about 15 other places before she could find this one.
Right.
It just didn't work out because it was too last minute. So
Yeah.
I think many of the coordinators are frustrated with that.
Right.
And then they hear some of the stuff on the internet that Pablo is putting out, and many of them are wondering, are you putting him up to it? Do you condone what he's doing? Is he going to be sanctioned for this? And what is his real status? Because he's put stuff up on the internet saying, I'm the chief of the resistance, I call the shots, and people are a little fed up with that.
Right.
And he does a lot of good. We really appreciate all the sermons he puts up.
Right.
And in one sense, we can't live without it. But
Right.
on the other hand, people nowadays seem to want to.
Yeah. Oh, they've wanted to live without him for a long time, I think. But not everybody, but a great number. No, he runs websites. I don't even look at them, and I don't have a website. And so this is one of the problems. We don't have a website. So he's able to be consistent in putting up the sermons and putting up the elements on his websites, at least a couple of them. He's got several websites, but at least a couple of them. The Signs of Conquer, MontgomeryUSA.com. I don't even know what he's doing. I don't want on the internet, and I don't sanction it. Some of the things he does are good. Some of the things he does are imperfect. And of course I do. When I see problems, I yell at him, scream at him, tell him sometimes take things off or whatever. But it doesn't. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he doesn't. But I've been clear from the beginning that we don't. He runs his own thing and he's his own man. He does help us. I mean, he's helped us a great deal. He's cooking. He's taking care of paperwork. He's driving in the middle of the night. He's delivering. He's working perpetually, basically. And a lot of the things he's doing, other people should be doing, and sometimes they do it for 2 minutes, but then they don't do it again. Right? And we're talking about basically perpetual work. Most of it's behind the scenes, but it's necessary to keep our seminary going, to keep the food on the table, to keep the visa processes going through, to keep even the sermons uploaded, and then of course we ask other people to help many times. And they help sometimes for a brief period of time, but then it usually goes away. Or they'll help only in their area, their specific area, in a limited capacity, and then that's it. And so this is the problem. I know it's a challenge with the handicapping. That's why we don't have much of a choice in the matter, because I'm not able to. I can almost never repeat the same circuit, even though it's a complicated circuit. As long as I understand it, it's okay. So. But I can never repeat the same thing twice, because plane tickets change, the situation changes, the schedules change. Like when the time of for instance, we just had the clock change. Now it's a problem getting Mass in Phoenix, because Phoenix doesn't change the clocks. So before the clock change, it's easier to get Mass in Phoenix. Once the clocks change and it goes to Mountain Time, Phoenix becomes very difficult to get to Mass before midnight type of thing, right? So this weekend I've had Father Hugo. He's going to Phoenix right now. We're trying another system, because after November it's hard to get a mass in Phoenix. So we're flipping the circuit this weekend the backwards way, see if it works this way. And those usually when there's a new circuit system, like last week I covered 6 places last Sunday, and it looks like we might be able to do it in the future. Might be possible. So because I had a 3-hour layover in Minneapolis, and everybody was able to come to Mass. A 3-hour layover in Seattle, and they were able to come to Mass there. And so it was Nashville, Minneapolis, Winnipeg, Calgary, Seattle, and Veneta. That's what I did last week, and it actually worked out okay, but only as long as those tickets are there. And how long is that going to last? And also, and the circumstances, the stars have to align. So remember, it has been a discovery that being in Kentucky is the best place to be, because Louisville, Kentucky is the demographic center of the whole United States. And I've driven, when I've had ticket problems, I've driven from New York to Kentucky, from Dallas to Kentucky, from Minneapolis to Kentucky, and from New Orleans to Kentucky. It's the same distance. It's right in the middle. And here, Toronto's a little bit shorter, about the same. It's only a 9-hour drive from here to Kentucky, right? And I also find flying-wise, because it's in the Eastern time zone, on the edge of the Eastern time zone, it works so much better. I can leave in the morning and get Mass in the afternoon in Seattle. Whereas you can't do it the other way. When we come back, sometimes if Father Hugo's coming back on Monday, I've been able to get back on Monday almost every time. He sometimes, because he's stuck in the airport, and returning from Veneta, gets back on Tuesday. Right, yeah.
Another question. Because we're trying really hard to have these masses in the public.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot easier because we just found out 2 days ago. It would have been easier to do it, for example, in Caledon, private home, right?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
But we're trying to do it in public, and now we're paying quite a bit of money and people.
Well, I know that, but the thing is,
But
remember, it's good to have a backup, you know what I mean?
Clarification from you.
Yeah.
Do you prefer it in the public, in the hotel, is it okay to do it in a home?
It's okay to do it in a home. In normal circumstances, it's better to be in a public place, but not always. Like, for instance, this kind of a thing could easily be in somebody's house.
Let's say you called Christine on the other day,
Right.
and you said we need a place. Should she have gone into it? She spent like a whole day practically, and she has baby and all that.
Right.
So
So you should try to search, and if she can't find the normal place or the backup place,
places, 15
Right.
places she called.
then we just have Mass in one of the houses.
So would that have been okay if she ended up doing it in her home?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Okay, because I don't know what to tell her.
Yeah, of course, yeah. There's no problem. And then and so and we like I say, also remember it's a Saturday Mass. There's going to be less people at the Saturday Mass anyway, especially in the afternoon.
That's it.
Who can? I mean, for instance, your kids are all tied up. And so even though Saturday is a little more flexible than like a weekday, it's still not not everybody can make it and all that
So
sort of
would you
thing.
say if it's a Saturday Mass that we could try a private home where it's cheap? Obviously, we don't have to pay the
Yeah, of course,
$200.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
it's a Sunday, we always try Milton.
Well, you
That's
try, because normally that's available. Usually Sunday is no problem, because
Yeah.
Sunday, if you call the last minute, it's available.
Well, not
Normally.
really. We've had troubles even with Milton.
Only now I've noticed it's changing. They're telling me it's changing because so many small churches are closing, and churches are starting to rent now.
Yeah.
So that's become a factor. But generally, Sunday is like always open. It's the weekdays that are the biggest problem, and then Saturday is hit or miss because you got weddings and stuff. So, but normally Sunday is wide open in most places. It's also cheaper usually on Sunday because they don't get the rentals on Sunday.
So it's like that, Father. If we do it in a private home, then we give you more money. But if
Yeah.
you have to rent the place, then you get less money because we got to pay the rent.
Yeah, I don't care about that. So I figure that it's just but I'm not worried about that. What matters is we could be trying to make it more convenient for the most people possible. Like for instance, like with the homes, for instance, you got was it Caledon's north one,
Yeah.
and then
Awful.
but for me it's about 30 minutes from your place, right?
Mhm.
And it's about 30 minutes from here, more or less, right?
Yeah, it's nice and not bad.
So but it's if people coming from like Hamilton or something, it's going to be a longer trip.
But people complain always, doesn't matter what you do. People always complain.
Yeah,
I
right.
think my place is right in the middle. It's in Burlington. So 45 minutes from St. Catherine's and 45 minutes from
Oh, you're in the middle of both of them. Okay, so you can go either way. Either way is like works for you, right? Whichever one's better for the time and all that. Right. Right. Do you end up working in Toronto or in Burlington?
From home.
Oh, okay, because everything's on the computer now.
Software, yeah.
Right. You can work while you're in
I
India.
travel a lot.
Right. A lot of flying, mainly out of Toronto, I'm guessing. You go
Hamilton.
you go to the States or also mainly Canada?
States and Canada.
Okay. Right.
But mostly Canada.
Right, okay.
Sometimes Canada.
Right. And then there's like these 1 week trips and stuff like that. A lot of those. Right. Yeah, that's tough. But I mean, what was your? I was asking some of the people, what was the we were playing that. What was the overall feeling or impression? I asked some of the people down in St. Catharines after the talk with division.
It was depressing.
Yeah, that's what I get. It was like you couldn't put your finger on it, but
The first thing he said, when he started the conference, he said the resistance is split.
in shambles.
So, I mean, he's trying to get us encourage us a little bit. You don't start on a negative.
Yeah, the other thing is he was
Pathetic.
talking specifically about the split between yourself and Father Denzeus, but he didn't offer any solutions, and he didn't offer to try and act as a peacemaker between the two.
Yeah, that's true.
He basically just said, well, live with it.
No, more than that. He didn't say live with it. There's more than one way to skin a cat. More than one way to run a resistance. Stop playing with your toys. And, so that was a full support of Father Deus, right? Who's playing with the toys? And what are the toys? You're the toys. And I'm the one playing with the toys. So the parishes are just toys. And you got to get real. And it's a kind of get real. What's happened is the supernatural is gone. Get real. What does that mean? Pay the bills. Be pragmatic. You got to realize you're in debt, and this is the situation. You got to pay the bills. You got to settle down. You got to get your own place. And that's not what's needed right now. Right? That's not what's needed. When those 12 Jesuits got on the boat with St. John de Brito, the reason for this red sash, 4 of them lived in India. 12 of them went on that boat, and 8 of them died without ever seeing India. And they knew when they got on that boat, they knew with absolute certainty that 100% of them were not going to make it. They went with 12 Jesuits. They never sent 2. They always sent 10, 11, 12 because they knew that half or more than half were going to die on the trip. They knew that. And so, and another boat left the same day to go to Japan. There were 12 Jesuits on it. All 12 died before they got to Japan. Not one lived. In John de Brito's boat, 4 lived. So there were 24 Jesuits that got on 2 boats on the same day. One to go to Japan, the other one to go to India, and 4 of the 24 lived to see their destination. And the average lifespan when they arrived there, 2 years. What did they do? They got on the boat. They got on the boat. Now, that's what they used to do. And that's why the mother of John de Brito, who was close friends of the king, she wrote the Pope. She talked to the king and said, you don't allow John on that boat. She got the Pope to write a decree to tell St. John de Brito to come back to Portugal. And so by a papal decree, he had to go back. And then he was finally able to escape his mommy and go back to India. And then the king had him talk to him, had him come over for dinner, for his last dinner. And he wouldn't let him leave. Then the boats left. And he realized, he knew they were trapping him, but he couldn't get out. When he got out, the ships were gone. So he got into a small boat, and he started going after the big boat. But the big boat is way faster, And the captain of the big boat saw the small boat on the horizon, and he stopped the ship and waited he said, that's John de Brito. He stopped the ship, and John made it, got on the boat, and went to India and became a martyr. St. John de Brito. And so he wanted to die with his people in Tamil Nadu. That's it. And God allowed that. But what happened to that spirit, which was the standard Catholic? They didn't even think it was special back then. Like Father Giselle has a good sermon about a normal bishop. So is it in the day up until 325, all bishops were normal. All popes were normal. What does that mean? You become bishop, you become a martyr. You become pope, you become a martyr. You become bishop, you become a martyr. You become bishop, you become a martyr. So you knew on the day of your consecration you're going to be martyred. Either that or you're going to be apostate. Those are your two options. So you're either going to be a martyr or you're going to be an apostate.
Yes, they just attacked that way because Father Viola told us that story about 10 years ago. And now where is he?
Yeah. So now it's retirement, see.
That's right.
It's settled down.
Yep, you want to have it easy now.
You know. And I think don't realize that I really believe this movement, the true movement of the resistance, which is what we are. If we are killed, which is quite possible, it's going to be because of our sins, because of our weaknesses, but if we're killed, the movement will not die. It will not die. God will raise up somebody else. And the people will persevere the faith. Not all, but some. And that, the victory of Our Lady is nigh, and we want to just make sure we keep holding that banner and keep charging at the enemy until she comes. And that's what we have to do. And it's true, it was discouraging, and did the bishop know that it was being discouraging? Do you know he was cutting down?
Can I judge?
What?
Can I judge?
Yes.
I think he was enjoying himself.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing, right? He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
And that's, and so, come on, put away your toys, right?
That's right.
And the, but the faithful, I don't think he realizes, he used to say it all the time in the seminary, the truth is what wins. He used to say, it was an old saying, the truth will out, right?
That's right.
Because you just go, the truth will out. And like even there's one of these in the movie Expelled, about evolution. And these guys are not even good guys, but they said, why isn't it that the creation won't die? Why is it that it won't die? All the scientists say it's wrong. Everybody says it's wrong, but it keeps coming back. And he said, well, the truth is a strange thing. It's kind of like grass. You can pour concrete over it. You can put weed killer on it. But it finds a crack. It comes through. I mean, Paolo was showing me how the Jesuits cut stone, and we see it happen in Versailles Fort. That's how it happened all the time. And the way the Jesuits cut stone, and when they were building the church in South America, they take a big piece of stone and they drill a hole through it, drill another hole through it, then they put a piece of wood in that hole. Then they pour water in the hole, and then the wood expands and it pops the stone. The wood cuts the stone. In theory, wood can't cut stone. But when I was in Versailles, these 500-year-old walls, there's trees growing on top of the wall in the fort, in the Versailles fort. And when I was there, one of the walls collapsed from a stick, right? Now this little vine grew through the wall. In fact, the wall of the Versailles fort, where the main part of the wall is it's wider than this room. Right? These are not exactly microscopic walls, right? The Muslims built the first part of the wall. Portuguese came in and whacked them and then finished the job. And so they finished building the wall of the Versailles fort, and so but this entire wall was just collapsed because of grass and trees. Right? It survived cannonballs. It didn't survive the grass. And so the truth is like that. You can cut it down so easily. You can pull it so easily. It's so easy to kill it. But somehow, stone loses and grass wins. Somehow.
So like the grass.
That paper, scissors, rock. Is that the one? Rock is the third one, isn't it?
Right.
Right? The paper destroys the rock, right? Right, you know. So anyway, I guess we better. But I think we have to keep moving forward, and you know, and it's an unfortunate like a attack, but you know, and it's why is there so much effort being devoted to assault and rip us apart? We're doing a pretty good job of screwing up. Or like you say, for instance, it is frustrating the coordinators that, you know, Father calls up one day in advance, there's going to be mass tomorrow, right? You know, and so and we've been doing that for over 2 years. Occasionally you'll get like 3 weeks in advance. That's like happened like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, once.
Right, you know. Yeah, never for you, I don't think. Maybe once. Easter, you know you get mass at Easter. You know you get mass, you know.
We're expecting you at Christmas. We can plan up our Christmas.
I know,
Father.
I'm hoping to do Christmas. I just want to, but again, it depends on those plane tickets.
Been here 2 years in a row, Father. It's a tradition.
It is a
Day.
tradition.
Father, you got to come.
From the
Christmas
beginning,
Day.
yeah, it's a tradition, you know. And so we've been doing each Christmas. Falls Falls, Denver, and Phoenix. And then Danbury, Sparta, and here. Because it only works out because of the midnight mass. Midnight mass makes it possible to get that ticket. But you know, who knows how long we can maintain the tradition. You know. But you know, and then maybe we can get it to where we can put it to where somewhere in the middle, where if the St. Cat, you know, some of the St. So other people can come to St. Catherine's, we can find another place somewhere in the middle.
If we had it in Milton, the people in St. Catherine's could get there. They just have to choose that they're going to.
Right. Because Milton is south, isn't it?
That's one of the reasons we have Milton, because it's close to the airport, close to St. Catherine. That's the main reason.
Right.
for Milton.
It's on that, was it 401 or whatever it is, and whichever one it is, the
Plus
one
we
that
can
goes
bring
on.
food there.
You got to be able to bring food. Most
Here we
places
can.
they block the food thing, you know, and
Yeah.
that's kind of a killer.
You're never allowed in a hotel to bring food.
Well, a lot of them we do in America, like
Not here, not in Canada,
Yeah.
not in Toronto.
yeah, because again it depends on the hotel. Because they always want you to buy their stuff, you know,
That's right.
and what for like
The ladies
$400
in
a
St.
plate.
Catherine's found the same difficulty, so that's why they had the difficulty in the place that they found.
Yeah.
Even the Holiday Inn doesn't allow food down to the basement.
That's right.
You're kidding.
No, that's the way it is.
Don't tell them. Just go down there with them. They never go down there anyway. But what would they do in India? What?
Food is allowed everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a necessity.
Nobody asked. You just do, right?
We travel to a hotel where they like to bring food.
We don't ask. Don't ask. Just do. Yeah.
Just do.
Right. Yeah. So you know, Pioneer Hall. You know, we said the Pioneer Hall. Oh, you weren't there. In the back side of St. Peter's Church, there was a tobacco place with the Pioneer Hall. We had
Oh yeah, golden tobacco.
Golden Tobacco.
Yep.
We said mass there for like 20 years.
Right.
So you know the place. Now it's a restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very high-end.
It's a high-end restaurant. I've been there a couple times. I went there, you know, and what happened is that every week, every month, the guys would say, it's going to become a restaurant. We're closing down. You got to find a new place. They've been saying that for like maybe 12 years. 12 years. So the first time I heard it, when I first went there, I said, oh shoot, we're going to be out here in the next 2 months. And of course, we stayed there and stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. And then when Father Tim, my brother, came to India, I said, don't worry when they tell you they're going to be out of there in 3 months, because it's not going to happen. Well, with him, they said, we're going to, and then it happened. That Tim has never happened before. They've been kicking us out for 12 years. You know, we were hoping to get the place, you know. And now they made this really fancy restaurant. I went there, was what we went there. We had our dinner at the place where the mass used to be. The old part of the building is still there in the
Right.
front,
That's right.
but then it's this fancy, and I think it's just for like parties for the. I said, how can you run a restaurant here? Because it's off the beaten track.
Yeah.
But it's because I think it's like reserved or something. They reserve it for special occasions or something.
That's right. Especially the Bollywood.
Yeah, the
The
Bollywood.
film
It's like a
industry.
hidden place where they can go back there and have their
Very
little.
private. Yep.
Yeah. You know.
I knew the son of that. The owner.
That's our guys. You know, what's the name?
No,
What's the name? What?
no.
Noel. No, not Noel. What's his brother's name then? Not Noel. Anyway, yeah, that's the family. Yeah, and they're still there. We see them. I saw them the last time I was in India, when I was in Zenolo, you know. Yeah, and because that's where we used to say mass, and then they kicked us out. You know, after all these years, you know, we were there, and then now all of a sudden we're not there anymore. You know, and So, but in any case, in Bandra,
So, Father, do you plan to do anything in Bombay this time?
probably I may not make it to Bombay this time. We might. We have Mass in Bandra. I said Mass in Bandra the last time I was there, on the way down. I was there a few months ago. But no, I don't think so this time. But we might.
In Goa for sure.
Goa and Madras.
Okay.
Just those two. Yeah. And then we'll have a little priest meeting. You know, we'll try to put together. So most of the time probably in Goa. Land in Madras, visit St. Thomas, and then go over to Goa. Yeah. So, you know. And then are you going to spend some time in Madras?
Yes, just a couple of days.
Yeah.
We can talk offline.
Sure. Anyway, we got anything else there? So hopefully we'll get there successfully. And but anyway, I mean, I think we just got to. I mean, I don't know. There's been a lot of smoke, but sometimes the best thing to do when you run into a desolation, nation retreat, just keep going.
That's right.
Don't turn right. Don't turn left.
It'll blow over.
Just keep going.
Yeah. That's right.
Because the people on the internet, you know, the fact is, many of the people on the internet, they really like Pablo the Mexican because it gives them something to talk about.
That's right.
Give them something to be upset about. And then he's got his fan club. You know, he's got a fan club. And there's a growing fan club. His fan club's been growing over the last couple of years. You know, Matt, you're not aware of the fan club, I guess. but you know,
Where the detractors come out of the fan club.
yeah, there's a fan club, and it's growing. You know, and
Father, who's Pablo?
he's a mystery man. You know what happened one time. I went to a place, and Paul was with me. And Father Chazelle, myself, and Paul. This was back in 2012. The first time we went to the same mass. We walked in. Said, "Oh, I'm Father Chazelle. I'm Father Pfeiffer. And this is Paul. Paul the Mexican. Wow." To reach the real Pablo the Mexican, you know, because he's a very unusual communicator. Right.
Father,
Would you
is
say
he a
that?
priest? Yeah, like,
No, he's just a layman.
oh, okay. And he lives in.
Well, he's just temporary. He's temporarily there right now.
Oh,
He doesn't live
okay.
there,
Trying to-
but he's there helping out right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's there temporarily, and he's been in and out a few times, maybe 3 times. I think he's been in and out. This is one of those times, and he's cooking for the seminarians and you know, help them fix things because the place is, you know, dilapidated, so help them fix the place up, and you know, and then of course also he's been doing the internet thing, but he's been doing that for the last whatever years. You know, he does that from wherever he is. But anyway, so but in any case, where he can say he can be brash and rough, right, and so and he can be very rough on the internet thing there, and so. But you know, like for instance, with these 2 videos that came up this last week or
Right.
whatever, right? Those are Pablo Mexican videos. You know, it took me a while to see them. I finally saw the thing, you know, but I don't know. It doesn't. When I saw it, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Just a video. I mean, it was just go to the saints, and it wasn't that bad. I didn't think it was that bad. You know. But
It was nothing but the truth.
it was true, yeah. It was true. He was saying it was true, but it wasn't anything like disrespectful or anything. It was hard hitting, but we're in a war. I mean,
Exactly.
you know, people shoot at us all the time. If you can't take shots, you know, when we were in the just a few weeks ago, and there was one of the ladies was screaming at one of the guys, and because of the whole Father's Day out situation, and that guy was, you know, screaming, and I said, "Well, scream louder." I mean, go ahead. Let it out, you know, I don't care, you know, and that's one thing I love about India. You can have a real fight over there. They're men, you know. I'm sick of this wimps, you know, and so you know, when you go to the village, you deal with real men, you know, and they're tough guys, and you don't have to deal with wimps. I'm sick of dealing with wimps. So it's good to have a good old-fashioned brawl once in a while, you know. And it's just, you know, and so, but then you work things out. Keep going on. But we're in a war. You're going to get shot at.
Yeah.
Like right now, there's a bunch of shooting going against Father Pfeiffer in Resistance Kentucky, right? I'm not following all of it because I don't really follow the internet, but people tell me different things, you know. They show me this little Michael Fuller thing. And, you know, I just quickly looked at it or whatever. He's a guy in Portugal, in Brazil. he just put open letter to Father Pfeiffer. It's on Catherine.
Maybe we'll write him back. No.
Yeah, you can have open letter to the open letter, and then it'll be the closed letter to the open letter. And one of the things he said there is, why have I been silent about the issue of Father Thaddeus and so on? I said, well, that's interesting.
I don't like look stupid anything but.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. It haven't been is silent, right?
That's right.
And from the beginning, they haven't been silent.
That's right.
Then he said something. We wonder what you're thinking. I said, well, that's been something that's not exactly a mystery either, right? I mean, it's very simple and very clear,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And repeated multiple times. And it's not that many points. You don't have to have a long memory. You don't have to memorize thousands of points. Bishop Foulet, bad. Vatican II, bad. New SSPX, bad. Archbishop Lefebvre, good. The Catholic faith, good. New Mass, bad. Indult Mass, bad. Sedevacantist Mass, bad. That's pretty easy to understand, right?
Straightforward.
Okay. And why is it bad? Because it goes against the Catholic faith, while there are many wonderful people in all of those places. And so, but because it's bad for your soul, therefore we say, thou shall not go. And then what they need to explain is why they don't say that, and they don't explain that. All they say is there's nice people. Well, if that's the case, then you're a liberal.
Yeah.
You're a liberal, right? That's a problem.
That's right.
Right? So, because we don't do things based on nice people, right? And so we have to do things based on what's true and what's right, and that's why I say with regard to Paul the Mexican, for instance, he can be rough around the edges, and the whole world knows it when he is, but when other people are rough around the edges, nobody cares. The vomit and spit that comes out of other mouths, nobody complains about that.
Yeah. It's true.
He has not said things as vicious as other people have said.
It's true.
But there's no problem with other people have said.
I know.
Right?
It's true.
And what I've found from experience in the priesthood and life is that generally it's when you're doing something good that you get the more heavy assaults.
Right.
That's generally how it is. Not that we're doing something perfect because we're sinners. But when you're doing something good for God, even with imperfections, you get the heavy assaults. It's like Paul used to say, his mother used to say, you don't have to look for the devil. All you have to do is go out in the desert by yourself with no witnesses and do something good. The devil will find you. And that's true, right? That's true. And then, there is the fact that we have 70 priests now, 80 priests, probably over 80 now. I'm losing count because 11 priests in Avrier in the resistance. And yet, there's still relatively few of those priests that are traveling around and taking care of the souls. Some of them, of course, they're sick. Remember, we're wounded ducks, right? They're doing what they can. There's no problem, right? Father Buffet, for instance, he's really sick. He's been sick for years and years and years. He's saying Mass in 4, 5, 6 places. Now, he has to go at a certain pace. And he's now helping in Dublin. He told me in the beginning I had to do Dublin, and I did do Dublin, and I'll still go there and visit. I mean, I don't want to abandon the people completely, but now he's able to take care of Dublin. But the thing is, he's not healthy, he's sick. And he has been going around, right? Another priest I met in Germany, very sick, but he's going around taking care of the souls, right? He's a young priest, but really sick. Always sick. But he goes around, and he goes around, and he goes around, right? Because that's what's needed in our times, right? It's what's needed. And it isn't really an option, because a policeman is a fireman, and a fireman puts out fires where? Wherever the fire is. Now, the fire is everywhere. So, get busy. It's not that hard, right? And also, it's not really even that difficult, especially nowadays. What do you do? In the old days, they used to have to suffer when they're on a trip. And now you can take a latte and get your supersized fries and, and travel and comfort in the airport, and, it's just not a big deal. It just isn't. And besides, it's what we've been doing for 40 years. That's what we've been doing for 40 years. I've been doing this since I was ordained. There's not any major difference between now and before the crisis. I've been doing the same for the 20 years now. Father Hugo's been doing the same for 22 years. We didn't have to change. That's what happened. We didn't have to change. But the others did. And that change was the wrong change. It was the wrong change. And even this French priest meeting, one of the priests was saying, I don't represent the church, I just represent me. So what do you mean you represent you? What kind of baloney is that? You don't become a priest to represent you? You represent Christ and the church. And you represent the organization, the Society of St. Pius X.
It's really scary that when an ordained priest says something like that, it tells you just the information they didn't get.
That's right.
Well, that's also an effective response to those priests who believe that they can stay within the SSPX. I'm a good priest. I don't teach doctrine. Everything is fine. You can go to my masses.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you,
that's right. Yeah. No problem. No problem. Yeah.
But you represent the policies of the high-level management within the SSPX.
That's right.
So therefore, we can't go to you.
Yeah, like if you come in here and you are the representative of Donald Trump, whatever his name is, and Bill Gates, and you break a chair, what's going to happen? They're going to the hotel management is going to sue you for $400 million, right? And why are they going to do that?
Because they know you have the money.
Because you represent Donald Trump and Bill Gates. Now, if an illegal Mexican comes in and tears out the whole place, what are they going to do? Pay for a taxi to get him out of here. Okay, right, okay, right? That's what they're going to do. So you see, you do represent something, right? You do. And so you can't escape it by saying, I'm my own man. Well, you get ordained a priest, not just of the Catholic Church, you're ordained a priest of an order within that church. See, it's to the glory of the Dominicans have to their glory St. Thomas Aquinas. The Jesuits don't. Right? They don't have an equivalent of St. Thomas Aquinas. They've got a Cajetan. They have some great Jesuit teachers. Cornelius a Lapide. They have some glories, but not like St. Thomas Aquinas. Only the Dominicans have that. Right? So the Dominicans have the right to be proud about St. Thomas Aquinas, right? He does represent the Dominicans. And it is not just a priest of the Catholic Church or even just a saint of the Catholic Church. He's a Dominican saint. And so that's why you see all those drawings, all the Franciscan saints, all the Dominican saints, and the Franciscans build churches. They don't call it St. Thomas Aquinas Church. Right? They name it after all the Franciscan saints, right? And the Dominicans build after all the Dominican saints. So that it does, and God intended there to be different orders in the church. In fact, St. Thomas answers the question. Since the priesthood is universal, and the priesthood is Christ, and holiness is only one, why are there different orders in the church? And he says, while God is only one, and the priesthood is only one, the works of charity are many. And therefore, the orders of the church are divided according to the works of charity. Preaching is a work of charity. Taking care of the sick is a work of charity, etc., etc., etc. And since there are an infinite number of works of charity, therefore there can be an infinite number of orders in the church. Right. And each one represents that order. Right. And we better, we better say a prayer then. Hail Mary, full of grace, Lord is with thee, blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death.
Saint Vincent Ferrer,
Pray for us.
Saint Jude,
Pray for us.
Lady Victory,
Pray for us.
Lead us sorrows.
Pray for us.
Lead ever Christians.
Pray for us.
Ignatius.
Pray for us.
All those who are